say you want it, you can get it. And I say,
damn, fresh on the beat.
Say you won't put me for trouble. What is my crime? Oh, you justify act. What if I die?
The international boy, DJ Perez.
You must be a bumbo. You blow my mind. No,
welcome.
Be my
Welcome.
but you don't change my mind.
Welcome.
Yeah, I was locked up. They won't let me out, but you let me out.
Welcome.
You won't let me out, only you let me out. I don't need to say this, but I got you and you are baby. Yeah, I've been there locked up. They won't let me out, but you let me out. That shit now fuck up. They won't let me out, only you let me out. I don't need to say this, but I got you and you are baby.
baby, no feeling, but my baby, they wear the spaghetti. She said, you want it, you can get it. And I say, baby, baby. Oh, you shawty, oh, bad baby. Like a word,
Yeah. And I'll take you to my Enzo. We'll make a movie in my room. You are the lyrics to my tune. Yeah, I'ma be the boom ba boom ba boom ba boom. I'll take you for the weekend. Many girls, but you I choose. You're the reggae to my blues. And if I get you, girl, what would I do? Shaku, yeah, I've been there. Let me out, you let me out.
It's your body. Baby, all of my property, I give you authority, If you go down like economy, baby, you go. Follow.
The international boy, DJ Perez.
It's your boy. Zaga what? Zaga that. Baby, all of my property, I give you authority, If you go down like economy, baby, you go follow me. I would like to know what you want, Zagadat. I would like to know what you need. I would like to know your size, so that when I'm shopping, I go dey buy am tight. Me, I no be a kagum, I be generous. Me, I no go do you wrong, like in Lazarus. Baby, make we go jeje, see the money life. Me, I know they tight my hand, oh. So, baby, all of my property, I give you authority, If you go down like economy, baby, you go follow me.
Online unknown.
Follow me. Body be coco, baby, walang colombo. For your sake, I go walang loco. From Nigeria, you dey disturb Soweto. Yeah, come.
Professional. Are you currently having capability or disciplinary issues at work? Have you recently been referred to the NMC, ACPC, GMC, any other regulatory bodies? Do you need confidential expert advice on work issues and professionalism? Do you need representation for your NMC, GMC, ACPC, intern, or and safe hearing? If your answer is yes, please contact Dr. Abe Akiyoshu of ERRAS, Employment Rights Representation and Advisory Service on 0208 305 7438 or 0207 140 0111 0745 195 6510. Our team of experts are ready to assist you in all aspects of your professionalism disciplinary proceedings.
Make we go to Toronto, yeah. Baby, all of my property, all of my property. I give you authority.
All around the world.
If you go down like economy, baby, you go follow me.
Go down low. I'm for daddy. Take it slow. Run for papi. And I go down low. Run for papi. Take it slow. I'm for daddy.
Stepping on the place, everybody we know the yeah. Me and my guys every time we
This is Starr Radio UK.
You my selector whenever you hear team yeah. You know, number one guy tell about the yeah. I know that time to you.
This is Starr Radio UK, the leading African Caribbean
Come here
radio
to
station.
celebrate. The truth is, no matter where I take, no matter who I be, oh God, I give it to you, Lord. I give it to you, Lord. No matter where I take, no matter what the way, oh yes, I give it to you, Lord. I give it to you, Lord. I give it to you, Lord. Let them say what I'm saying. I give it to you, Lord. Them say we don't go past, they can never see me fall. One more time, please.
And I'm go down low. Run for papi. Tell them want some more. Make them happy. And I'm go down low. For papi.
And for papi,
Baby, take it slow. Make me happy.
some of them never want to discuss us. Back then, them they refuse us. I know they see everybody wait to be rich us. Oh, I can't see myself. Right now the dollars say we they do rituals. Cause we are getting it. Making the money is not the things. Every day the people calling me. Family, happily. Oh, right now them conquer. Right now them say we responsible. From people making the money is not the thing. A million friends them are loving me.
Chapter 14, verse 26 says, But the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name, he shall teach you all things, and bring all things to your remembrance, whatsoever I have said unto you.
Online, on mobile, soon on DAB. This is Starr Radio UK, the leading African Caribbean radio station.
Thank you, Lord, for blessing us with the Comforter to abide with us forever. He teaches us all things, saves us from the hands of the adversary. Thank you, Lord, for blessing us with the Comforter to abide with us forever. He teaches us all things, saves us from
Starr Radio UK, the leading African Caribbean radio station.
Yes, it is. Good evening and welcome again to another edition, another day, the 17th of April 2019, and right here on Starr Radio UK, your African Afro Caribbean radio station in London. And yes, I'm sure a numbers of you have been thinking we're coming live with the guest. I can tell you, she's right here in the building with us. But before we do, let us say good evening to every one of you from wherever you are all over the world. And this is where we bring you what is happening within the Nigerian community and what is happening back home. And as you all know, we are still discussing and looking at the issues around the general election that have just not too long ago, just under a month. I mean, if we look at the governorship election, is about 9th of March, so it's almost a month now, and also the presidential election. But still a lot is happening after that election, and I'm sure most people will be wondering what next. That is the question on the lips of so many Nigerians around the world, and also the diaspora that are also been working very close with different political party. But this evening, we're so grateful to have a special guest with us in house, and we will bringing up our face in just about a few minutes. But for those of you that are listening to us, if you want to call in later on, the number will be 0208 133 2257 or 133 It is Niger Voices, where we make things happen. And yes, let us welcome our guest. Let's see if we can get her on the screen for those of you. And right there she is. Maybe you might just want to move back a little bit, so that the face can just, if you just push back a little bit. Yeah, that's his more than welcome. And you are live. And good evening, Eunice. I hope I pronounced that name properly, because let's see if I get that name properly. Eunice Uche Atuejide. Atuejide.
Yes.
Wow. Is that I've been thinking in my brain, that is east, south, or everything from Enugu State. Is it because it's got that Jide at the end of it? Confuses a lot of people. Wow, it's good to have you on Niger Voices this evening. And once again, for those of you that are listening to us, right there, we did mention that we will have Eunice with us this evening, and she is with us today. Let's take a look at this individual and find out a little bit about 39 years old, founder of the National Interest Party, a legal practitioner, LLB, LPC, LLM, BPP University, London, United Kingdom, also Nigerian Law School, also Administration University of Ziegen in German. She speaks about 3 different languages I'm aware of, and I'm sure tonight we will learn a little bit Igbo, Yoruba, English, and German. I'm told French is very easy when I was in school, but I didn't complete that. So maybe you might be able to, take us through a little bit of French this evening. Also, been to at least 76 countries. She's been to more than 76 countries, at least 130 cities across the globe. Owner of the EB Consult Limited, a consultant company operating out of the UK and Nigeria. a mother of five. Let's take it, first. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people around the world, when it comes to female politicians, are always saying, how do you manage between, being a mother and also, being a politician? How do you cope? Wow. I don't know where we're gonna pick up from, but what I just want us to do is, it's gonna be more of just get to know, the election is over. There's a lot to discuss, and I've got, we'll discuss about this later. The girl who said I can. You gotta tell me how you were able to come up with this, the title itself. And this is mine, not yours. I'm sure you'll have to get details of where she will tell us a little bit more where we can get, this book from. But you've given me something, that I'm gonna be, I spend a lot of time on the bus. I'm sure.
Be busy reading this. Once you start a bus trip. Really busy and couldn't find time in their usual periods. The moment they decided to just try, like.
Well, I'll keep you my listeners. I will update you back how far I've done with the book. But quite a lot, we've got to discuss tonight, and we've got a good amount of time. I would like to say thank you very much. The volume is low, I'm told. Let's find out, which of the volume is low. Thank you very much, all the way from US.
Maybe I should come closer
yes.
or something.
Yes, I think.
Okay.
Let us know if the volume is okay on your other side. Thank you very much once again, Davidson. He was in Nigeria at some point as well. But let's hope the volume will pick up. From my producer is working on that. I hope the volume should be okay now. Do let us know if you can hear us loud and clear, because this is a very important interview, and so many people. Your face has been out there, and I'm sure. So many people would like to. Sometimes we do get the wrong information, and it's always good to just clear the airwaves.
Let it go. Like, I'm here to interact with any and everybody on your show who wants to interact with me. My job is to answer their questions, whatever they are. They should bring the questions on. I'll answer them.
That's it. You've had it there, right in the building with us. Starr Radio UK. We do everything possible to bring them down here. Fella has been here. Fela Toye. Shore was sitting right there. And now we couldn't get Eunice in,
as a presidential candidate.
As a presidential candidate. But give us a bit of the journey.
Wow, what do you want me to tell you? Like, I would say I was very lucky because I read the situation very well. Like, what I can say for sure is that politics is a very unpredictable journey. When you get into it, you have your expectations, you have your goals, you have set your target. But then when you get in and you start trying to achieve that target, you start to see things start to happen. People start to show themselves for who they really are. And then you have to start adjusting your expectations. A lot of us fail to adjust our expectations according to the things that are happening until it's too late. Like, quite a lot of the candidates did not properly judge the situation. So I have a feeling a lot of people are regretting the journey, but I am so happy that I did this, and I know I'm going to be there again in 2023 and whenever else until I win the presidency, because what I have learned now this first time is definitely going to help me immensely when I come out the next time. And whatever I learned that time, in case I do not win the election again at that time, will also help me for the next time I try. So at the end of the day, I think my approach suits me, and I'm hardly ever going to regret anything I do.
Wow. Thank you very much. I want us to take it back, because you just didn't go straight into politics. You started with from the legal department. You're a lawyer, and the journey I wanted to find out, and the reason is, for those that are looking up to you as a mentor, and so many Nigerians and Africans out there, will always say, we've seen Theresa May, the Prime Minister of UK, being bashed left and right, and there's always something that people don't understand, that they've come from somewhere to get to that where they want to be. I mean, you've got a big ambition. People might say or laugh at you and say, well, is she serious? But you've started that journey from somewhere. Where did that journey started from before you think of approaching, the politics, which is a very, very, big terrain, especially in Africa?
Yes. I think my journey started from birth, actually. When you are born into that kind of circumstance where you just know that you could be so much better than this, but then you don't really know how, but you just know that it's up to you now to decide where you want to go and how far you want to go in life. So I think even as a young kid, I was always seeing myself in positions of authority, and as a result, I worked harder, extra hard with school stuff. I worked extra hard with the money making stuff. I did whatever I could to gather more knowledge than my mates would probably strive to gather. So eventually, of course, I was working in the film business. I was working in the I was getting investing a lot of my money in shares and other kinds of outward kind of investments. I was doing a lot of things, singing, dancing, acting, to get money and then put that into the investment portfolios I was building, and then eventually traveled to study and kind of expand my horizon. And then of course, from business administration to law to filmmaking and all the studies I did. And then at the end of the day, even when it came to having your family, you just realize that I have always wanted to be in a leadership kind of position. So everywhere I was always trying my best to kind of stand out so that I would be given more responsibilities that's like normal for the particular position I was in. So at some point when we're doing law school in Nigeria, after law school in the UK. I went to Nigeria for law school, and while we were there was a lot of people who needed help, whether it was the women who couldn't have their children in peace because they couldn't pay some money to the hospitals, or the children who were out of school, their margeries, or like there was every corner you looked, there were people who needed help. And then within the campus too, we had a lot of our mates who couldn't even pay school fees, who couldn't feed, and we had to rally around to always help them. And then at the end of the day, a lot of us were now thinking like, these are problems that we can only give temporary solutions, and only to a very, very small number of the people who are needing the help and calling us. So at that point, we decided to do something, that we're not all just going to come to law school in Nigeria and then pack up and leave, and then 10-20 years down the line our children will come back and make the same situation or worse. So from then onwards, we started thinking, okay, how do we come in? Going into another party became impossible, because we thought, oh my god, even though we'll be more than 4,000 of us from there, from law school at the time, we would have a problem kind of becoming, how do you say, like equal partners with these political party leaders. There's a way political parties are structured in Nigeria that makes the outsider like completely powerless. You come in there, you submit to whatever the system is that you find there. So after all those research, we said, okay, the best thing for us was to actually form our own party, and then get as many young Nigerians as possible involved in our politics, and try and get the best of all these people to now come in and race for positions of power and get them. So that's how we formed NIP. That's the National Interest Party. And then after forming it, trying to get all these politicians who were new school, who were alternative voices, alternative faces, like the Mogalos, the Showares, the Durotoyes. We thought, okay, bring all of those people together on the same platform, and one of them would emerge, and that person that emerges, the rest of us will follow and help and see if we can knock out the regular politicians. But when that failed, we decided at our party that we're not going to just do all the work for nothing. So one of us had to go, and of course it fell on me to go, especially because they brought down the age of the people. I mean, the age went from 40 to 39. So
Not too young.
the not too young to law to run law was passed, and because it was passed, even I could now join the race and try and grab the crown for the rest of us. So that's how I ended up racing in 2019. Normally, my first time would have been 2023, but because of that, bringing down the age and then the refusal of all the other alternative candidates to come together.
We got into those. I saw a lot. I was at celebration. I saw the
Oh yeah,
moon.
you were there.
I saw the moon. You know, and
Wow.
we got into those details. You know, very soon.
Okay.
But what I wanted to find out a little bit from you is looking at, you know, the structure. You know, that you just mentioned something. You know, a lot of you didn't judge the situation. Maybe you could have started from somewhere different from being a presidential candidate.
Why? I don't want to be anything different from a president.
But why is it that people always say, I don't want to do something different? You know, why is that?
I don't know why people say they don't want to do something different, but I want to do politics on a national scale. So if I'm going to spend the time, energy, and money required to get the position, I would get the position I see myself most suitable for. I won't go trying to get something just because. If I would go down there and start doing, whether it's local government and Senate or House of Assembly or whatever they are, I would be doing local politics strictly for my constituency. But I want to be on the national stage. I want to be able to go to the north and do things in the north and talk to the people in the north, come to the south, go to the east, and make sure that everything I'm doing is affecting every part of Nigeria, not just my place of origin or my constituency. So that's one thing. So if you look at it, the only position you can get that kind of opportunity is with the presidency, and of course when you're appointed into positions that are like national in context. So I have already put myself out there. Yes, there's been a lot of talks about coming in to work with the APC, but I don't want to work under Buhari. I don't trust the man. I don't believe in him. I don't want to be involved in his politics. So I would rather wait out the 4 years that it would take if Atiku does not manage to remove him, and then come in there again and see what happens the next time. There's no way I'm working with Buhari. That one, I made it clear during the race, and I'm making it clear again. There is no way I will go into government that a Buhari is heading. I won't do it because I know it's a doomed government, and I don't want to be part of that doom. So, in terms of starting from somewhere, I can start from anywhere, as long as it is not the elective position I am running for. Somebody calls me after Buhari is gone. For example, now they remove him, and somebody calls me, whatever the position is, I'll go in and do. If a state is calling me right now, of course I'll answer the state because I'm not involved with Buhari in any way per se, and I would not have to join APC.
Even if it's an APC state.
I don't have a problem with the parties per se,
Okay.
but I have a problem with the people within the parties. I campaigned for people in APC. I have a lot of friends that went to run for positions under the APC, and I supported them. I have people in the PDP, my party, NIP, even AAC. I was so upset with Showore and everything he did with me during the process. But he had candidates under his party that I thought, oh my God, that's a great candidate, and I supported them. MDP, I'm not a party politician. I'm a people politician. So if any politician comes out there and says, I want to vie for office, whatever platform that politician chooses, as long as I believe to a great extent that this politician is a quality person, I'll support him or her. I don't care what platform they are under. I don't really care who is where, but I care a lot about who I am following. I can't follow a Buhari. So because of that, I can't go national and work under any parastatal that I know I'll be answerable to Buhari or have to shake his hand or have to come in and answer. I don't want it.
Okay. Once again, you've just joined us. This is Eunice, live here in the studio with us, Starr Radio UK, your African and first and the only that makes sure that we bring, you know, everyone down here. And, you know, in the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks now that we've been back from Nigeria, we've been looking at the aftermath of the election. We'll be touching on that later on. But let's get to know more from Eunice. I can see those of you watching us live on Facebook, put the comment through and we'll be putting that to her very soon. The structure is what a lot of Nigerians are worried about, that, you know, most of these new parties, I wouldn't say they're a waste of time, but a lot of Nigerians are saying they're just waste of space. I mean, I was part of the INEC observer in Nigeria, and I saw, you know, the length of the, you know, the battle, and I kept wondering, how did we get to where we have almost 70 parties, on that platform. But what I wanted to find out is the structure that a lot of Nigerians were discussing. You didn't have that structure.
That's the thing.
We're talking about 119,000 polling units. I couldn't even get to more than 9 polling units during the governorship election.
Yes, but you have to also understand that when you set up a political party, you're setting it up believing that the how do you say, the resources you need to run that party would come through. So you're not expecting to have to fund everything on your own or have to rely on just one or two persons to bring out all the funding that is required to get into all the nooks and crannies. But if it's in terms of people, we had all the people. Yeah, we had people in absolutely every state in Nigeria. But of course, it's difficult to keep people committed to a cause where, especially in a place like Nigeria where volunteering is not really common, it's difficult to keep people in a place and then get them to do the work they're supposed to do without paying them. In Nigeria especially, if people were getting money from other things they're doing and have a livelihood, then I think it would be easier for people to invest a few hours a day to do charity work. But because of the peculiar situation we have in Nigeria where everybody is hungry and everybody's looking for the next bread, it's really difficult to get our people to commit to running those structures that we are supposed to have. So yes, in terms of structures, you would say that yes, it's probably only the PDP and the APC that have the kind of structures we need to successfully take over the presidency of the country. But at the end of the day, if you don't get in there and try, you won't really fully understand the scope. So many of these people that are saying you don't have structure, they haven't even understood what they are saying. So people like me, for example, needed to get in there and see it live, see it unfold, and see how the alliances are built. Even the PDP, when it's election time, they start building alliances because you need people for different reasons in different places. So there's a necessity to come in with different people at different places, negotiate with them and agree certain things. And it doesn't even guarantee anything because there were so many places where they could have done much better, but they didn't do well because some of the people that they were negotiating with others, and it became a case of who paid more. So structure is important, but then it's not so easy to build the structures for those of us who have no association with the government in power or previous association with them, because it's so much harder to get the investment in it. Once the money is there, building structures is not hard at all because it's really just about bringing people together, giving them assignments in different parts of the country and making sure they do those works. It's not hard to do that when you have money, but the money we need, we don't get it from the sources we expect to get it, which is people like me and you. We thought, the average Nigerian, once they understand that you're sincere and you're trying to save the country for all of us, they'll start donating their little, 100 naira, 300 naira, 1,000, 200, like that. But it didn't happen because our people do not donate to politics. They expect you to go into government, get the money out of government that you need, and then use that to fund your political activities, which is what they do usually. So in a way, I blame the people for the problems of Nigeria, because if only we had more responsible people who would see the necessity to fund political movements, we'll have less problems with building structures, because all it really takes to build the structures is money.
What was your best experience, within that period of declaring? I think you declared in July.
Yes, 1st of July, I believe.
And up to now, what is something that you can look back and say, I can still move on and push these maybe in the next 4 years? What is something that you can, I know there will be a lot of that, because being in Nigeria context, the political context, a lot will be heated to you, and we'll be going into that in details, but what is something that you can fall back and say, for that reason, I think I still have to push?
There are good people everywhere, and for that, I'm in for good. Like, no matter how bad we see all these politicians from outside, within that evil space, there are quite a number of good people. And for them, for their sake, I'm in.
Wow. Once again, if you've just joined us, this is Starr Radio UK, your African and Afro-Caribbean radio station in London, and we have Eunice Atuejide,
Atuejide,
yes,
yes,
right here in the building with us, and we'll be looking at a party, what next, and also being a female politician. Late night meetings.
Of course, even without being a politician, as a lawyer, I have a lot of late night meetings. I have clients from all over the world. So when it is morning here, it's night in somewhere else. When it is night somewhere else, it's midday here. So I'm literally always working 24/7. And when I was a student, I had children. So I have to breastfeed and I have to write exams and everything. So it's not unusual for me that I have to wake up at 2 a.m. sometimes and be somewhere to do a meeting at 2:30. That's absolutely normal for me. It wasn't a problem for me at all. And most times when other women complain, I'm like, look, if that's when it has to happen, for whatever reason, that's when it has to happen. And you have to make yourself available. You can't be complaining and then expecting that you would get far. You won't be able to get far if you cannot prepare your mind, your body, and your activities to accommodate a lot of these things. Of course, you have to talk to your husband. Of course, you have to talk to your kids. Of course, you have to talk to your workers. But you have to do those things and be available when you're needed. If you're president, for example, things can start happening in Afghanistan or in Australia or in China that you have to get up and get your people together. And then they call you or you call them and they tell you they can't call because it's late. That's nonsense. So I believe that politicians must necessarily make room for exigencies like that, unexpected meetings, late night meetings. You come in, you walk in here, and then things happen, and then from here you are in Zimbabwe or wherever, and you have to go because your attention is needed, and between now and the time you get there, it may even be too late. You have to be flexible. I am 100% flexible. I've never had issues with timing, married, children, and everything, and I don't think I ever will because I've already gotten used to that system of life. For a very long time, I've always lived my life as per what I need to do, when I need to do them, and making sure I get them done at that time they need to be done. Late night meetings not a problem for me at all.
What is one thing that we can change within the structure that we have, politically in Nigeria now? Because a lot of Nigerians we all have different opinion and views out Nigeria has to be and why we are not there yet. Most time, majority of the diaspora are quick to compare UK with the system in Nigeria, and I'm sure for whatever reason I was there for 6 weeks and I could see that sometimes maybe we're too quick to judge Nigeria comparing to UK. But most time people would then say, well, these politicians and those leaders have been out of the country. They've seen how things is operating, right down here. You said you're going to be here at a particular time. You watch your time, your train and everything, and you're quite there on time. But what is something that, you think is the diaspora or the Nigerians? Are we too quick to kind of start comparing the Western world with Africa, with Nigeria? What is your own take on that?
I don't think we're too quick in the comparisons because everything we have in the diaspora we can't have in Nigeria if only we can have the right kind of leaders. You see, in the diaspora, nobody is bigger than the other person. Nobody commits crime and gets away simply because he's senator or because he is a girlfriend to governor or anything. But that happens in Nigeria. And when you have a lot of people getting away with a lot of nonsense, let me put it that way, then there's potentials for anarchy. You just find that people don't do the right things and it becomes the norm. So for me, I think it's not too quick. The judging Nigeria so low by the diaspora is not too quick, but at the same time the diaspora is part of the problems because when they come back to Nigeria they drop every good behavior they have from living in the diaspora and pick up where they left off from Nigeria, and that's also part of the problem. If every diasporan would return to Nigeria and do things within Nigeria the way they would do them outside of Nigeria, you will see that a lot of Nigerians will pick up from them and begin to do things a bit more responsibly. So whereas they make a lot of noise, the diaspora comes in and it's actually also a lot of blame goes to those of us in the diaspora as well, because we come back and we do things exactly the way we've always done them, or even worse because we know we can get away with it. So no, we're not too quick to judge. But at the same time, as we judge those in Nigeria, we have to also be judging ourselves, because we do worse sometimes. But then we come back here and we start making noise as if when we were there, we were behaving any better. Yeah, that's my take on that one, to be honest.
Wow. Once again, if you've just joined us, this is a special interview coming all the way on Star Radio UK Niger Voices. You were working, or there was a kind of good relationship between yourself and, the parts, what went wrong?
I never had a relationship with the pact. In fact, I've always had a faulty relationship with the pact, because number one, they did not invite me to their pact meetings. I was a presidential candidate, I was a new alternative candidate and everything, but they never really invited me, at least not until I started, making public comments about their way of doing things. So I wasn't involved with the pact, but I was close to the pact because I was also an alternative candidate. And a lot of the people in the pact I already had relationships with prior to them starting the pact. The pact was basically alternative presidential aspirants coming together to pick one person to lead the pact, to lead the pack. However, I knew it was going to fail, because at the time they started doing the pact, I had already tried to get all of them together, and I had discovered the kind of people each and every one of them were. So even by the time they started calling me, I was never going to go for any of their meetings or join any of it, because I knew nothing would come out of it based on my own understanding of each of their characters. Mogali, for example, believed that he would definitely win the presidential elections. Nobody was qualified to lead Nigeria other than him. Anybody else was beneath him and blah, blah, blah. Everybody had to step down for him. Those kind of comments. Showore was sure that I had a network. I mean, years of activism, having a Sahara reporters, everybody knows him. It wouldn't take much. And he was getting money, quite a lot of money compared to the other candidates. So he assumed that that was all he needed to get the presidency. He wasn't ready to speak with anybody, work with anybody, or risk that anybody displaces him in terms of getting the leadership of the new presidential candidates, the alternative presidential candidates. Duro Toye didn't have so much of that problem, but he was a very smart man in a way. He knew how to manipulate people, he knew how to talk them off whatever they wanted to do, and he used a lot of his natural gifts to try and get people to come his way. But for me, he also lacked that affirmative way of doing things, like, okay, this is exactly what I need to do, this is how I want to do it, this is how I need to get the people around to rally around me and do it.
What was difficult to have every one of you together?
Everybody wanted to be the leader of the pack. Everybody. Nobody thought it was possible for anybody else other than them to lead the pack. Do you understand? Like, Shoresh thought, if it's not me, it's not working. Magalu thought, if it's not me, it's not working.
I thought the interest of Nigerians should be...
Oh no, those people are not interested in Nigeria. They're only interested in what comes to them. I'm telling you the truth. Most of these men, probably because they're already in their 50s or nearing their 50s, it's as if there's no time. I have to get in there and get the power and get the opportunities. It's not so much about Nigeria for them. I don't believe that. I believe it's so much more about the opportunities that they will get to improve their careers or improve their finances or whatever it was. It wasn't really a passion for the people that brought them into politics. I'm very sure of it because I spoke extensively with a lot of them. And when I'm speaking with you, I'm not just listening to what you're saying. I'm also looking at your body language. I'm looking at the little things you do. And I get so much more information by looking around you than just listening to you. And I'm sure those men, apart from Duro Toye, I could say yes, he has a good, deep passion for Nigeria, but methods is a problem for him. And then over-Christianizing things, for me, it's also a problem because Nigeria is not just a Christian country. There's so many more religions. People think it's just Muslims and Christians. It's not. There are Jains, there are Buddhists, there are so many other religions in Nigeria. There are atheists growing by the day. So many more atheists in Nigeria than even traditionalists. You have to think for all these people. You have to worry about all these people. When you come and you're just Christian, everything you're doing is the Christian way. No, I won't follow you because I don't trust you to protect the other religions. And that was one of the biggest problems I had with Duro Toye. And then the rest, even though I saw him more of the passionate Nigerian trying to work for the benefit of Nigerians. I couldn't see him doing it because he was more interested in protecting the Christian people than he was in protecting the others. And for me, that's a big problem. So I didn't see the pact happening. I saw before they even started having problems with who emerged, and then Mogalu coming out to continue his race, even though he lost to Durotoye. I already knew they couldn't do it. I already knew.
This is coming from one of our listeners all the way in the US. What was your own role in the pact aside talking about these other guys?
I was not a member of the pact at all. I never joined them. Like I said, I knew they couldn't do it. I knew they were not interested in working together to save or help Nigeria. So there was no need for me at all to join them. So I was never a part of the pact.
Wow. Well, we still have Eunice with me. We'll be looking at this later on. The girl who said I can, in just about 15 minutes. But we still have a bit of more time and room to ask a lot of questions. Nigeria the way it is now, what was the Nigeria of your dream?
What is the Nigeria of my dream? The Nigeria of my dream is that Nigeria that works for everybody, where the average child is going to school, getting fed, the roads are safe for driving and for working, the airlines are working, like the Nigeria that works for everybody, no matter your level, no matter your education, no matter your tribe or religion. That's my dream Nigeria. I've never seen that Nigeria, but it's my dream Nigeria, and I know that it will happen in my lifetime, that Nigeria becomes a country where I look at and I say, yes, that's my country, and I am a very proud member of that community.
Wow. Once again, if you've just joined us, this is Eunice with me in the studio, and this is Naija Voices. This is where we bring it. We will play, what is your favorite artist? One of these, so that we can have something at the background while we are kicking this in. It is a Wednesday, the 17th of April 2019, and I still have Eunice with me in the building. Let's just take a bit of commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be looking at more from Eunice because there's a lot of questions that we still need to ask. I saw some of the movements when I was in Nigeria, especially the celebration with Showore and the others, but a lot of that we're going to discuss. But just before we go on that short break for the time being, what will be something that you can work towards now to make sure that dream comes through in the next 4 years? What is something that you
develop the younger generation, the kids from age, say maybe 14 to 21, are my primary targets in terms of getting them to start thinking about our politics and to start understanding how our politics is the beginning and the end of everything Nigerian. Bring them into the system, guide them so that they have the let's do it for us attitude and not let's do it for me attitude, and then with them take over in the next 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, however long it takes. The next generation or next 2 generations, they're my primary targets, and that's what I'm doing now.
Well, don't touch that dial. Let's take a short break and we'll come back. Right here with me is Eunice, Starr Radio UK, Naija Voices, coming straight to you every Wednesday between the hours of 1600 hours to 2000, where we bring you some of the best. Next week, we've got another lineup, and I'm sure a lot of you. On Saturday, Fela Drote was in London, London School of Economics. We spoke to the president, last week. We couldn't make it down there. Knife crime is still a big problem. We will be talking, to Eunice on that as well. But let's take this, and when we come back, we will look at some other issues around the Nigerian politics. Don't get tired.
Having capability or disciplinary issues at work? Have you recently been referred to the NMC, ACPC, GMC, any other regulatory bodies? Do you need confidential expert advice on work issues and professionalism? Do you need representation for your NMC, GMC, ACPC, interim or substantive hearing? If your answer is yes, please contact Dr. Abe Akinyoshu of ERRAS, Employment Rights Representation and Advisory Service on 0208 305 7438 or 0207 140 0111, 0745 195 6510. Our team of experts are ready to assist you in all aspects of your professionalism and disciplinary proceedings.
And we're back again. It is still Niger Voices, and I've got with me Eunice, right here in the building, and we'll be, still got a few more that we want to find out from her and how we've been discussing. I've had about quite a number of guests since we've been back in Nigeria. For 6 weeks, we were in Nigeria, and we've been looking at so many things is just wrong. The election was postponed. I thought it was a kind of witchcraft that was attacking us because we do a lot of prayers, and you're expecting that the witchcraft are flying in the middle of the night, and the prayer was able to conquer it. I mean,
Really funny.
let us take a look at it. What is something that you've been able to look at that we need to quickly start discussing now? And not until the election is about 6 weeks away, and then the electoral act, logistics, this, that. What is something that we need to start discussing? The whole country, every one of us, everybody is a stakeholder. That is what I see in Nigeria. Whether you're in the country, you're outside, we saw, the amount of money that has sent home during this election for different political parties. But what is something that we must start discussing now?
One thing we must start discussing now is actually the security outfits, how they use them during elections, and then collation of results. Because when you actually look at the present, funny enough, had the electoral act been passed, all the state elections will happen before the presidential.
Let's take this call, and then maybe you might want to put on your headphone there.
Where is it?
Yeah, yours will be the one right in front of you. There's one.
Headphone. Oh yeah, I found it. Yeah.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Niger Voices. You're live in the studio.
Hello.
Yeah,
hello. Good evening. Can hear you loud and clear.
Hi.
Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Eunice Dabo. I'm ringing from Manchester.
Eunice Dabo. Thank you very much. All the way from Manchester.
Namesake.
Yes, you've got Eunice here as well. Let's take a question.
To my namesake right there.
Thank you, babes.
Well done.
Thank
her.
you.
I'm proud of her.
Mwah!
And I'm gonna buy that book.
Bless you. It's on Amazon. Amazon.co.uk. The girl who said I can.
And I'm gonna read it. I'm your namesake. No,
Bless
I never
you.
supported you during the last presidential election.
It's
anyway,
okay.
I'm for sure. But I love what you're doing. I love
Thank
when
you.
women are standing up and
Thank
to be
you.
heard most women.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you,
Thank you so much.
Considering our culture in Africa, you've done us proud as women.
Thank
I'm
you.
proud of you. I love you with the whole of me.
Oh my God.
Thank you for standing up for
Thank
what
you,
we believe.
Eunice.
I love you. I love you.
I love you
Thank
too, Eunice.
So it's all about the love. There's no question.
Ah!
Any question for her? Have you got any question for her?
For
Or
me,
any?
no question at all. I'm proud of her. I'm proud of her.
Thank you.
I don't
Thank you,
expect
Eunice.
anybody to get on the phone and start asking questions. For a woman of our age to stand up and do what she has done and doing what she is doing, please, please, please. Considering where we are from in Africa, let's clap for her.
Thank you. Thank you, Eunice.
I love you. I love you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Bye.
sweetheart.
Well,
Bye-bye.
it looks like this individual that I've called you all the way from Manchester, maybe
Yes,
is the
sir.
namesake. But let's go back to that question that you were just about to, complete. Looking at what can be done now, because 4 years would just be like that.
Yeah,
in no
4 years
time.
will go very
Yeah.
quickly. We need to. The Supreme Court has actually said that all this excess militarization of the country during elections is wrong, and we saw the way Jonathan used the military to help secure the space so that people can come out and vote, and so it's not really the use of the security outfits that is the problem. It is the purpose for which they are launched that is the problem. So we need to have a more responsible group of leaders, like the leaders who are going to do the decision making in 2023 need to make better decisions than what we are getting right now. That's one. Then the other thing is collation of results. We need to take it away from this process of manual collation from the polling units to the ward, from the ward to the local government areas, from local government areas to the states before it goes to national, particularly for the presidential elections. We actually made it clear to INEC, because I'm a member of the IPAC, Interparty Advisory Council. I'm an executive there. So one of the stakeholders meetings and consultations we had, we made it clear to IPAC that they had to have an official collation of results that starts from the polling units, so that at the end of every count, the results from each polling unit comes directly to the national server, to the INEC server, so that they have the results. And then when those results now go, the paper trail is just needed for the sake of paper trail, so that whenever there's any need to discuss it, you have the documents to show what has already been collated at the polling units points. We had all that agreed, and I know that the INEC people actually made provisions for those results to come to them straight from the polling units. But at the end of the day, what we found at the end of the election was that the results were getting changed along the way. Like somehow those results that we saw at the polling units changed along the way before they got to the national. We can curb that by making it actually official that just the same way we have electronic voting, our collation of results should be electronic, so that every Nigerian can just click into the station or whatever the channel is that is dedicated to this collation of results, and at each time every polling unit is uploading their results, every Nigerian is seeing what is coming to. The calculations are done automatically, so you're seeing it comes from polling unit A. By the time you get to polling unit Z, all the numbers come together, you're seeing who is winning. So there's no opportunity for anybody to go and start changing results and killing people in order to do additional polling and whatever, so that they can hijack the mandate. I think that's one thing we must pay attention to in order to reduce the extent of violence, and also to hopefully allow the real winners emerge from each election. So anybody who is going to the tribunal will go to the tribunal knowing that he or she is just wasting their time, because the evidence will be there for every Nigerian to see from the moment the results come in.
Wow. I saw a bit of that, and just to, because when we're doing the election of observing in Abeokuta during the remote areas will be very difficult to transmit those kind of results.
Not necessarily, because no matter how remote it is, there are ways that you can, as long as the computers are working and your your WhatsApp is working, or your Facebook or something, there are ways you can connect to the internet no matter how remote it is. If you cannot do it immediately, at least you have the results, you take pictures. All right, and then when you move away from those areas where there is no connection, you upload the results. But the thing is, everybody there is a witness to these results, and the only reason you haven't uploaded is network. Do you know that when you have the apps and you send those results, it's all about when the network comes in, and then these networks, they are not stable, but they come and they go. So the moment it comes, the results go up. Do you understand me? So it's not like there must be network here all the time, 247, for the results to be able to be transmitted. No. Send them up, and then whenever by any chance any small doing network passes through, it goes to the server and it's done. But even if it's not done while you are there, as you are moving, the result is already sent, for goodness sake. As you are moving, you move through. You will definitely come through areas where there's network. It will transmit. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So having remote areas, being in remote areas is not an excuse. Upload the results. At some point, it's Nigeria. Nigeria has network. At some point along the way, it will load up.
Was INEC prepared for this election?
INEC was definitely prepared, even as of the first election date, which I think was the 16th of February. They were definitely prepared, but they were sabotaged. The government itself, the current government, the APC government, absolutely did everything to make sure that the election could not happen as planned, so that there could be staggered elections, and in the staggered elections, it would be so much easier to rig it. So yes, they managed to. Well, if the election had happened on the 16th, I believe the rigging would have been so much more difficult to track. All right. So it failed. They had to postpone the elections because when you have election materials getting mixed up, the Navy getting turned around, and a lot of things deliberately going wrong, it makes sense to like take a step back and replan. Had the election been postponed for like 4 weeks, it would have been so much harder for APC to rig. It would have been so much harder. But they postponed it by 1 week, which still gave them the opportunity to still use a lot of the materials they had done, a lot of the thumb printing they had done, a lot of things they had already prepared still happened.
You don't have evidence for all this.
Oh, there are so many videos. I don't need to tell you anything. You just go up and go back to whatever platforms you were on when the election manipulations were coming. I saw so many videos, like people thumb printing, and so many videos out there. So it's not like I need to be in court and be defending anything. I know what the videos I saw were like, and that's enough for me to conclude that even though it wasn't as bad as it may have been on the 19th, it was still really bad. And even the postponement from the 19th to the 23rd also helped the rigging process. Had they done it like postponed it by 4 weeks and changed everything and rerouted everything and prepared properly for a new election, I think it would have been so much harder for APC to rig the elections.
At what point did you decide you need to step down for?
It was 3 days to the second election. Like normally I stayed through. I was ready to get my 3 votes on the 16th. Oh my God, I'm so grateful. All of you that voted for me, thank you. I didn't expect it, I swear to God. I just expected like maximum 10-15 votes. That's it.
How many votes did you get?
2,248. And that was even though I endorsed Atiku 3 days to the election, and I actually transported 350 people to different parts of Nigeria to go in there and vote for Atiku and canvass for Atiku to be voted for. I ran back to the UK and picked up £18,000 to go back to Nigeria and mobilize for Atiku. That was how committed I was to making sure that Buhari.
Whose money was that?
My money. Well, loan from Barclays Bank. I ran back here. I think I was here, like the election was postponed. I think I was here on Monday or Tuesday, and I went back to Nigeria on Wednesday. Like I just ran in basically to come in here and grab everything I could get and get back there and make sure I mobilized.
What was your motive behind?
I just needed Buhari to go, whatever it took. And there was no way Magalu could do it. There was no way Shawara could do it. There was no way any of these other candidates could do it. The only candidate that could get rid of Buhari for me was Atiku. So I came back here, gathered everything I could gather, and ran back to make sure that I mobilized for Atiku. And then I made it clear that, look, my people, don't vote for me. If you know you're really for me, please don't vote for me. Vote for Atiku because we need to get rid of this trouble which we put on ourselves called Buhari. So I went back there and I managed to get about 350 people to different parts of Nigeria. Those who had to fly, those who had to transport. I drove many people myself on the morning of elections from Gwagwalada to wherever they were. And then came back and voted for Atiku myself on the day.
So do you think people will take you serious?
Oh, they definitely do take me serious. They understand the politics. It's only those people who don't understand the politics that are thinking that.
Who are those people?
In fact, I have so many more followers now than I had at the time I was racing for the presidency. Because at the end of the day, what they did was to step back and try to understand what Eunice was doing. I was desperate to be president, but I could read the situation. There was no way I was going to win this presidential race. There was no way, forget it, that Shawara, even with all the time and money he had spent running up and down, was going to win it. There was no way Mogalu or any of those other candidates could win it. It was either going to be Atiku or Buhari. And I don't want Buhari under any circumstances. So what am I going to do as a person to make sure that Buhari doesn't come back? And I did what I had to do. And by God's grace, we actually did win the election and removed Buhari, but then we can't control the apparatus called INEC and police and DSS and whoever.
This is your word. I believe strongly that in Nigeria led by Atiku Abubakar, we drastically reduce the suffering we have all endured under the President Buhari-led administration. I believe we will come out of the bottom pile of all human development indexes, particularly the crown of being the poverty capital of the world. I believe, these are your words, there will be respect for human life, less nepotism, tribalism, religious, I strongly believe more contentment Nigerians will be brought together from different places. But Atiku has been there before.
Atiku has never held
the executive. He was a vice president.
Yes, but as vice president, you're only able to do whatever your president tells you to do. You are not in charge. You don't have any charge unless and until your president gives you the permission to do anything. Atiku has never held executive position. He won the gubernatorial election in Adamawa State, but that was when he was now made president. So he never even held executive role on the state level. So he has never ever been our president, our governor, or minister, or any of those people who can sign checks. He has always been a second man to somebody else. All right? And then in that position, he can't make the kind of decisions he can make or carry out the kind of policies he can drive as a president or as a governor.
What is it that you think these leaders are doing wrong, which is not yielding expected result, desire for national development, and how can such act be corrected?
They are all serving self-interest. Everybody there is doing their best to satisfy a particular person or a particular group of people. They are not working hard to satisfy all of us as Nigerians, and that's the worst of the problems we have. We don't have leaders who can dare them, who can tell them, to hell with you. I have to do this because this is what is best for our people. Those are the kind of leaders we need. We need people that can go in there and ignore those people that even funded their campaigns, ignore those people that are so-called political godfathers to them, and try and mobilize and get the people to work for the benefit of all of us as Nigerians. And until we get such politicians, we're probably always going to keep going around in this very, very dangerous circle we're going.
Wow. Once again, if you've just joined us and you're looking on your screen right there in the studio with me for almost an hour, we're going to look into the book, The Girl Who Said I Can. Tell us a little bit in... you've got 4 languages that you're good at.
Probably more, but yeah, let's start with 4.
Okay. Let's start with the one that come out of you. That would be, for a better Nigeria. I want you to say this in another language because we also have different.
This one is now exam. This one is now exam.
For a better Nigeria.
Yeah.
What can everyone do? Not what we are getting, because everybody wants to get something. That's why there's a lot of corruption, and people say, "Oh, it's just a politician." I say, everyone is corrupt, because sometimes you're looking for a shortcut as an individual as well. You just tell us that in another language. Maybe the language that we've been using. No, because we all look at.
So Igbo kita now. What ya again? I'm what ya because I suppose you will because.
You had it there. Everything right here is Niger Voices, and this is the way we roll it. And I've got right here in the building, Eunice. The girl who said I can.
Yes.
How did you come up with that?
Once I decided to race for this, will probably make you laugh, but it's the truth. Once I decided to race for the presidency, I thought, okay, now I am going to end up spending every money I've ever made, every savings I've ever had. I've already incurred quite a lot of debts running the political party NIP because we don't have any. We don't have people, godfathers or godmothers supporting us financially, and being the founder and national chairman, it fell on me to find the money to fund the party.
Let's pick up this call. We've got a call coming through. Get your headphone on, headset on, and let's get this call.
Yes, is there a way to increase the volume? I can barely hear it.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Niger Voices.
Yes, good evening to you, Koiki Media. This is Davidson calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Good evening and welcome to Starr Radio UK. Good evening.
Yes, hello, Miss Eunice.
Hi.
Atuejide.
Atuejide, yes.
Atuejide.
Yes.
Yes. How are you doing today?
I'm very, very good. Thank you so much for asking.
Straight to your question.
Yes, let me ask you this question very quick. First of all, I give you kudos at least for coming out during the election and for participating in the election. So good job to you.
Thank you.
Because it is pretty much more of less contributions expected of African females.
Thank you.
So, but my question's really quick. So, you mentioned the likes of trying to operate the electoral process in a different way, especially when it comes to collation of results.
Yes.
And you were able to come from the perspective of taking pictures
Yes.
of results and of uploading them as each polling unit. You know, I think African Action Congress brought about that innovation in this past 2019 presidential election. And keep in mind that even they brought in some what is it called? They brought in some other cameras and all that stuff to monitor the election to a point where even their drone was shut down by the military. So we saw all the live broadcasts of activities that happened, things that transpired in the course of the election. So, and one thing we need to seriously, honestly educate ourselves about is the fact that rather than us going through the approach of taking photos, which hoodlums will not let people take, which people, as in thugs who carry guns, who carry weapons, would not let citizens take. Why don't we, on the other hand, try to digitalize our electoral process? Why can't National Identity Management Commission be the bedrock of national development in Nigeria to a point that it can actually affect our electoral process? Why can't we use our biometric identity to generate identity cards for every individual without having to currently register for voters registration? And why can't we use biometric identity cards, which already has some type of security measure of our biometric identity, to actually generate a cyberspace of database to be able to help every citizen of that age to vote? And when they vote in that part of process, the election can be broadcast live on national TV.
Okay, I think I get your question.
Let's allow her to answer that.
I think I get your question. You're wondering why we would not digitalize our electoral process so that people don't have to come to polling units and vote physically or get voters' cards and stuff. One reason I'll tell you for sure is...
Even if they come to polling units, okay? I think for now we cannot but go to polling units. But there should be an electronic voting machine for us. And when people come to vote, people should vote with a particular biometric identification voting
I have
system.
understood you. I have definitely understood you. So let me answer you. Let me tell you my thoughts. And what I can tell you is that it will not work. It didn't work in Germany. It didn't work even in India, where they made it like compulsorily electronic voting system. So you don't even have people in any polling units or whatever. There's no part of the world right now where electronic voting is the way like elections are conducted, for the mere reason that it's so easy to manipulate those kind of things, where you don't have human beings, you don't have paper trail, you only rely on computers and robots. It's somebody will just sit in his house or his office and manipulate everything, no matter how much you call about blockchain, whatever. Somebody, that same person who is doing that blockchain, who is developing that impenetrable source and security, is the same person who will hack it. So there is no way you are going to be able to finally.
I don't. Madam, I don't think I agree with you on that.
Let's not argue. I'm telling you, you've asked a question. I'm telling you my views. I would not support a situation where we have to digitalize make all the voting process in Nigeria electronic. We already have enough issues the way it is now. I believe strongly that the issues will triple once we do make that kind of mistake. The manipulators will come in. They will do everything they can to make sure that it doesn't work. For me, and I think you seriously misunderstood what what I was describing in terms of collation of results. I'm not saying that you should go and bring Showore and his AAC people to come and illegally start taking pictures or bringing up drones that may affect military intelligence or whatever. What I am saying is that to make that the official route for collecting results in Nigeria. What that means is it becomes a part of our electoral act that every election that happens in Nigeria, results must be collated digitally. And when I talk about servers, I'm not talking in terms of pictures, citizens taking pictures and sending somewhere. No, I'm talking about INEC officials collating the results and then uploading those results officially on the servers, and then as they are uploading them on those servers, we too we are seeing and we are observing on whatever screens they make available to us, so we know what each polling unit is delivering. We can see how it is adding up, and then before the paper trail must still happen, so that you still have the paper documents that you bring together, and then it's still corresponding what you have submitted digitally. But what I'm saying is make it also our job to watch those results get to the national or the state, depending on the election that we're talking about. Collect the results officially, electronically, so that nobody needs to shut down your drone, nobody needs to shut down your people or intimidate you to avoid that you take your results pictures or whatever. All I'm saying is let's make it official.
Okay, in 30 seconds, Davidson, because we need to let somebody else call in 30 seconds, you need to put your next question so that we can let the next person call in, please.
Yes. So based on what you said now, I want to let you also be aware that the same process you described now was the same process that political party, African Action Congress, that was the same model they used.
You can't use it because it's not legal. You can't use a process. Listen, my dear brother, you can't use a process on your own as a political party and expect to impose it on INEC or the rest of the country. It has to. The only way it will become official is if it becomes part of our legal process. If it becomes part of our electoral act, then AAC can say in support of what the INEC people are doing, this is also what we have. Whatever evidence they gather, they can only use to defend whatever they feel is the wrong that was done to them. They can't use it to inform the rest of the country because they are not authorized to do so. The only people who can give results of election is INEC.
Your position, madam, hold on. I am not against that position. What I'm saying is, when we have seen a group of people try to put this in place, and while we are trying to encourage INEC to adopt that, I think we should appreciate the fact that there was a group that tried to initiate this, that tried to put it in place. Okay,
that's not important to me, to be honest, because even those of us, I mean, Showore is a member of IPAC. He's the national chairman of AAC. So he's usually invited to the stakeholders meetings. He doesn't come, but that doesn't mean that he's not invited. So those of us who go there, we tell INEC what we think they need to do. And then a lot of those things we wanted INEC to do got into the guidelines and they were what they did. But some of those things we were asking INEC to do ended up not getting done, probably because we started late, probably also because they had to protect the interests of those who are paying them, the current government in power. So what you people are doing in your party is not of import to anybody as far as electoral processes are concerned in Nigeria. If whatever you are doing is that important to you, then you have to get your national chairman to come to the stakeholders meetings and try and push for these things to be part of the guidelines. We pushed as hard as we could and we got a lot of things that came through. But if he had been there and he was pushing where he should be pushing in order to affect what happens in the country, maybe we would have been able to push it through, and then maybe we would have been able to have these servers officially as part of the guidelines. But we didn't have that because there were just a few of us who saw this and were pushing for it.
We need to let you go, Davidson, because we've got a lot of calls that are hanging. We need to let you go.
I'm trying as much as possible to make us address this important topic.
We are there. We're working with INEC. We're trying to make sure that the 2023 elections does not look like anything like what we did in 2019.
Okay.
In the course of doing that, I also want to ask you a second question.
Okay, you got to put that through quickly under 30 seconds.
Okay, sir. So which has to do with, why do we think? Why do you personally think that Atiku Abubakar at the time was was an alternative candidate as against
Okay, I think we got
Buhari
that
during the
already.
course
All
of
right.
that election?
Thank you very much. We got that already. Thank you very much all the way from US. I think you answered that.
Yeah, Atiku
earlier on.
definitely was a better candidate to me. Oh, God forbid, I would never vote a sure. He's not a honest person. And for me, especially coming from a perspective of savior, trying to do the best for Nigeria, you have to at least be honest to the people. You have to come out there and tell the people exactly what you are doing. Carry them along, not come in there and tell them A when you're actually doing Z. He lied so much to me, and for him to lie to me who he had nothing to lose to, for me, he was out of the, like, completely out, because anybody who would just lie for the fun of it and deceive you just for the fun of it does not deserve the opportunity to lead you, because he's definitely going to lie to you on a bigger scale when it becomes important. So I wrote Showore off early. Mogalu, Doroto, I've already explained to you. But then when you look at Atiku, the only thing we have against Atiku is that Obasanjo said he's a thief. We actually don't have Atiku as a thief in terms of, oh, this is what he did. We know he stole XYZ when he was. Well, we don't have any of those kind of information. I even investigated them. I investigated Atiku. I investigated P2B. And I'm like, oh my God, this man is even cleaner than the Obasanjo that is telling us he's a thief. Obasanjo is the one that you see his name in every illegal money moving in Nigeria. From 78 till date, his name is there. But you won't see Atiku's name. You will see Atiku's name in businesses. You will see the last names in the places you see Atiku's name. You see Aliko Dangote in the places you see Atiku's name. But you will never see Atiku's name in the places you see Obasanjo or Shomole or Amechi or all those names. You won't see him there because he never held the kind of positions those people held. And he never had the opportunity to actually sign off checks and steal money from Nigeria. He did his businesses. He marks up profits 100%, 120% sometimes. But big deal. I do that too. You probably do that if you ever did contracts or ran businesses that you made money from selling things. All of us do that. It's not illegal. If you want to hold somebody for stealing money, you have to actually catch the person stealing money. I don't think you would ever catch Atiku stealing money. But you will catch him doing businesses that paid him so much more than it would pay the average person who did the same business. But that's his luck as far as I am concerned. Wow. You know? So when you talk about all the things Atiku did wrong and why Nigerians call him a looter, you'll find that there was nothing you can actually hold on to. Absolutely nothing you can sincerely hold on to and say, this is what he did. But the propaganda that Obasanjo started when he stopped him from his third-term agenda is eating the guy till today. And he's probably going to continue if he doesn't do something to change the narratives. He needs to actually go on a cleaning, like really seriously go out there and clean his name, because he's not guilty of the things that we believe that he's guilty of.
Wow. Still in the house with us is on Niger Voices, the finest African Afro-Caribbean radio station. You were giving us a little bit details about the girl who said I can before that call came.
That's a better place to go, Joe. These people just get me agitated when they talk too much
that
politics.
That is what politics is all about. I'm sure, being a female politician, I can only see so many things that come your way. But let's take a look at, at the girl who said I can.
Yes, like when I started the race, I knew that I was going to be very broke after the presidential elections, because I'm not somebody that I do things half-half. I put everything. And when I looked around me, I was like, okay, if I don't get people to support this my race, which I kind of suspected I wouldn't, being a new face, a new name, unknown entity and everything. So I knew I was going to have a difficult time getting Nigerians to rally around me and give me their monies to race for this presidency, form NIP and everything. So I kind of knew I was going to struggle for my daily upkeep once the whole thing was over. And I know my history is a very interesting one. I've had a lot of amazing experiences and been through quite a lot all my life. So I thought, okay, now that I'm going to join the presidential race, I have to write my story, because it's not only going to connect me more with the people, get the people to get to know this woman who wants to be their president. It will also give me something to fall back on when this whole thing is over. So I started writing immediately. In fact, I tried so hard to get other people to help me, but it was just impossible. So I started. So every day for at least 3 to 6 hours, I'll sit down and write something. And eventually I think it was ready by the end of January, and by February we released it, like soon after, or right just the week before the election. We released it and said, okay, at least the little money we're going to get from here is definitely going to do a lot of safeguarding us and not letting us, a lot of people, when they finish elections, they literally go and commit suicide because they don't know what else to do. So that was basically what happened. I used my story to make the money I needed to survive the time after the elections.
I've just got the book myself, and I'll be reading through. But I just want to capture, what you said here. Holds the reader spellbound with acoustic elegance because the peep through the keyhole of the door of our life is exciting enough, but in one fell swoop, without much notice, the whole door is flung. Truth is not nude. As the books progress in spellbinding momentum, we move from vintage position to vintage position to catch the glimpse of a childhood. So, what are you trying?
That's the forward.
Yes,
That's from the
yes,
lady that wrote the forward. She's just trying to get you to see that this is an exciting book. Yeah.
So, what I want to get from this book now is for someone that will want to pick this book, your journey, give us a little bit of that.
If you pick this book, what you will see is the little girl who was born in the ghetto, who struggled through life and had to go through all the pains of being born without a silver spoon, but who was always happy. You will see a little girl that was molested as a child, that was raped in her teenage days, that was punished and dealt with for crimes she had no involvement in. You will see the woman who grew up and went abroad on her own and struggled for relevance and went through all the studies and married and did all the troubles trying to save the first marriage, and then went back again and still fell in love madly and married a second time. And you will see a girl that struggled with life the way the average lowest form Nigerian knows it, and then you see her get through all of it and step out to say, today I want to be president of this country.
So if anyone is looking at you now thinking maybe everything just started rosy, it is wrong.
Wow,
Really?
nothing like that, man. What? We're going to school barefoot for how many years?
And I'm gonna pick from the page one. My mom was a string that held our family together. She was strong, reliable, and firm. But people that are looking at you, moving Abuja, London, mingling with
76 countries, 131 cities, and all that. It started from the ghetto, man.
Would I believe what you're saying?
Just read it. You read it and you will see it for yourself.
No, I'm just talking about those that are looking up to you now.
No, but I need them to look up to me, and I'm getting a I'm getting really amazing feedback from my target audience, which is mostly young Nigerians, all these Nigerians in secondary school, these ones that are ready to go and start prostituting themselves, those ones that are getting into drugs to clear their minds from the troubles they are facing. Those ones. Oh no, I'm meeting so many of them, and I'm like, please. Thank you for reading. I had to call up a lot of my friends to start sponsoring the production and distribution of the book so that I can be giving it out free to these kids, because they want to read, but they can't afford the 5,000 naira or 20 pounds that I've placed on the book. But what I do now is to get charity organizations, my friends, to buy the book, and then I distribute to them free. They read up and they connect with me because I put my my handles on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Eunice _Atuejide. I put it there and they reach out to me. Some of them come inbox because they saw some of my numbers there. Once they inbox, if it is my PA's number, he will direct to me and then I respond to them. And then you can see that a lot of people kind of feel, oh my God, if she can do it, I can do it too. And then you find that they are developing themselves, taking their studies seriously or doing their businesses a bit more seriously than they were before, because now they are seeing that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to keep going, no matter how dark it looks. keep going. There is that light, and you will get there, and that light, like, it will shine upon you, and things will get better. That's what I'm trying to tell people. And I know I'll be president. It's when that I don't know. So for me, I need these people to get to know me. This is who I am. I'm all there. No, I don't pretend. I don't fake. I don't go doing all this designer stuff and coming to fake life or whatever. I don't do it. And I know that I'll be president despite not adopting all these strange ways of living my life. So I want them to be part of that journey. I tell them anytime I go to meet them and they're asking questions, I'm like, but how can we help you? I say, you will help me by making sure you stay on the right path. By making sure when you turn 18, because some of them are not, like 14, 15, 16, 17, they're not 18 yet. When you turn 18, you have to register to vote. And then when you register to vote, you're not interested in all those people that are going to come and tell you, we'll give you money or whatever. You focus, and then you try and make sure that whether it is me or not, whoever you're voting for the person because you believe the person has your interest at heart. Not just your interest, but the next man and the next woman and the next child and everybody. Once you're doing that for me, everything I want to achieve, I've achieved it.
Have the interest of Nigerians been put in the heart of those leading?
I don't think it will ever happen, because all of them went into leadership the wrong way and for the wrong reasons. So I'm not interested in generation up there. I'm not even so interested in the generation I'm in. I'm interested in the coming generations, because that's where I can get results. That's where I can influence people. I don't think I can influence those ones up there.
I think that's what Vincent is saying here on Facebook. How do we politically place Eunice? Is she repositioning herself for the next election cycle? Yes. Or is she content with being a mouthpiece of some other political figures? That's what he said.
I'm not anybody's mouthpiece. Not at all. I speak my mind. I don't speak for anybody. I don't collect money from anybody. I'm not serving anybody. I'm strictly my person.
So you're not those that...
No, I'm strictly my person. If you come to me and you want me to discuss something, if it is a discussion I feel, okay, this is important, I'll discuss it. But I won't discuss it just because you said I should discuss it. I'll discuss it because I believe this is something I should be discussing. And whatever opinion I express is mine, strictly mine. It's not your opinion I'll carry out there. It's my opinion I'll carry out there. So if you hear me speaking anywhere, be rest assured whatever I'm saying is me. It's coming from within me. I'm not talking for anybody. I'm not talking to favor anybody, and nobody is paying me to speak to them or for them. I speak my mind, and I make sure that whatever I'm saying, I can respond to whatever questions you have. Any queries you have, any misunderstanding you feel you have, bring it to me. I'll clarify it as much as I can. If you believe it, it's okay. If you don't, it's also okay. But at least for me, what I promise Nigerians is that I'll always speak the truth. Always.
Let's go back to the book again. Your early education and the court that came with it, and when you see the situation in Nigeria, 10 million Nigerians are out of school. You were probably one of them back then, but you were able to pull yourself out. And when we see these figures, 10 million Nigerians, and when I was in Nigeria, I look at a lot of time I move around. My concern is more of the children, because you see them and you're wondering, what is the future holding for them? And look at what the future, so far I've been able to hold for you, and the one that you are still thinking of. The question now is, how do we work the mindset of those generations that you're discussing, secondary school? Everybody wants to look good. I was in Nigeria for 6 weeks without a vehicle. I was able to move around. Someone would have said, wow, somebody coming from outside the country is not possible. But I saw the possibility in there. Sometimes it could be difficult. How do we change that mindset of those target audience? those ones that you're discussing.
They don't even have that mindset yet. That's why they are my targets, because they are still easy to influence. They don't have that mindset yet of I have to belong, I have to fake it so that they take me seriously or they appreciate me, or Facebook or Instagram. No, they don't have it yet, and that's why they are my primary target. Of course, I'm happy to take along those ones that are easy to convince in the older age bracket, but in that age bracket I'm going to, don't forget that they will be 18 in 2023, so they are currently 14, 15, 16, 17, going to 18, and then up to 21. That's my primary focus for now, because what I'm trying to do is make sure I have built an army of new thinkers in that their young age, who would not go out there looking for 5,000 naira, 15,000 naira, 2,000 naira, whatever, who would actually go out there and stand and vote and look and wait for the votes to be counted because they finally believe. Our people, our young generation Nigerians need to believe. They don't have any reason to believe right now, but I'm making it my responsibility to give them reasons to believe. And I know that if I get them to believe, we'll start seeing different results in the future elections we're going to be having, because they will be part of it. They will sit down and wait for other people to go there and kill themselves, or just allow only the touts to get out. They will come out, but they will be coming out just because they believe, not because somebody is paying them money or asking them to.
Wow, it's been a very we still got about 25 minutes, and for those of you that are watching us, firstly, if somebody would like to get a copy of this, where would they get one?
The easiest way for those in the diaspora is to go to Amazon, whether it's Amazon Germany, Amazon UK, Amazon US, Japan, wherever on Amazon. You can order it from your local Amazon website, and it's there. Of course, www.amazon.com.uk.d.co.uk, anything. And it's going for £20, and of course it will be delivered to you wherever you are, depending on where you ordered from. If you're in Nigeria, it's in bookstores, it's in the booksellers, it's in where's that one, Odusote, it's in what's the name of that book? There are quite a lot of bookstores that have it. And then of course you can also order it online, www.thegirlwhosaidIcan.com, and you can order it on all the social media. All my social media handles at Eunice _Atuejide, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can order it from all the social media handles I have.
There's a music I love playing every Wednesday.
Yes.
You might want to get this on and just let us listen to it for a few minutes, and then we can come back and reflect on that. Is that okay?
That's fine.
All right, you've got it there.
No lyrics.
It's coming.
Okay. I can barely hear it though.
It's not biggie man, no. It's not for man, no. Hello Nigeria, so should be on the me, yo. Don't be waiting them be talk, oh. This was not what they promised us, oh. Them tell us that they go bring the change, oh. Oh no, 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 no. As the thing they go, situation is not so bad, oh. Hey, as they break.
Yes, this is Naija Voices, and this is how we bring it to you every Wednesday. In the building is Eunice. Politicians, she's one. So let's put a pause on that. I hope you
like the group, Sha.
You like the group.
I do.
To be honest, when we look
Who sang it?
Timaya.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Is it a new release?
No, it's been out there for a while.
Well, I've never heard it.
Because you are the politicians.
No, not because of that. I've never heard it. I'll look for it. Timaya. What's the title?
Pity for Us.
Pity for Us. I'll find it. I love it.
When we look at Nigeria now,
yes.
While I was at home, HOPE, a lot of people said to me, they've lost it. There's no hope. I said there is hope.
There is.
What do you say?
People like me, there is hope. And it's not just me. There are quite a few of us in there. However, we are not the decision makers. We are not the ones that are playing the chess. We're not the ones that are moving we're not the ones that are moving the stakes. We are just on the periphery, and we're figuring out how to get in and be part of that chessboard game. You understand?
Is it until you get to that office you can make that impact?
We need the power to make the impact. You couldn't do anything outside of that power circle. You couldn't, because all the decisions are made from within that power circle, and all the policies are driven from within that power circle. If you're not part of it, you can't influence anything, to be honest.
What do you understand by let us restructure Nigeria?
My understanding of restructuring is constitutional reform, like to change the way we see ourselves as a unit in Nigeria. And the reason I always thought, especially for people like Atiku who said they will restructure Nigeria in 6 months, I was thinking he can't be serious. Like that was the first lie he's told, and thank God he never told that kind of lie again till he finished his campaign, because restructuring Nigeria, constitutional reform is something you have to involve the entire like legislature, from like every level, from the councils to the local government areas to the states assemblies to the representatives, house of representatives, before the senate, and then the presidential senate and all that, and then the consultations. It's a huge process, long tedious process. It's not something you can do overnight. Do we need restructuring? Absolutely. We need constitutional reform like desperately in Nigeria. But I'm one person that works from what I have. I always go from what I have to achieve that which I am after. And I'm saying the laws as they are today can be used to better the lives of Nigerians. And while the lives of Nigerians are improving, we then move to use that same system to change the laws and make them more permanent for us, for the benefit of everybody. Restructuring, it will be a very difficult task to do in Nigeria, but it's possible. But I'm saying that's not the primary issue. The primary issue is bad leadership, because if you have good leaders, a lot of things will be working. Whether you talk about the economy or the schools or the children or the women or the hospitals or the tourism, whatever, a lot of things will be working. And once things are working, people are not worrying about what the laws are saying anymore, because everything is okay. At that point, people will not agitate too much or resist it too much when you're saying, okay, now these things are already working. We can see that they are working, but they are working outside of what the law says. Let us now make it the law that these things stay as they are. It will be so much easier to pass whatever reforms we want to do if we do it that way. But then to get the right kind of leaders into the system who would come together and do it that way, that's where we are at. And that's why I'm saying I'm not going away from this politics.
Wow, you've had it there. The girl who said I can. You can get it from Amazon and all the local bookshop back in Nigeria. And for you to be able to read a little bit in depth, I'm just going to give you a little bit of, I am of the view, constitutional reforms and restructuring, this is what I've just asked you, and this is part of what you said. I am of the view that we can work with the constitution as it is and still get a better result than we have been getting since our independence.
Absolutely.
So can we work with this?
That's what I'm saying. We can work with the constitution as it is, because you know how it is in law. You can always interpret it to mean several things and still be correct, even though some meanings may seem like, oh my God, this is a bit, there are ways. The purpose of the law is what can drive you to make the decisions you need to make. And then the strict meaning, the literal meaning, you can use several ways to interpret laws. So what I'm saying is, let's use the laws as they are, and the spirit of that law allow that to move us more than whatever the words are. The purpose for making those laws, let's use those purpose for making those laws to achieve better results for our people. While our people are enjoying this stability, it will be so much easier to get us to agree on those laws, on those situations we have achieved with those laws, to become like an amendment that makes it even more enshrined in our system. So that's what I'm saying. Like, forget about fighting about reform, changing constitution as if without that Nigeria cannot move forward. The process of changing it is very tedious. So rather than chase it, let us make Nigeria work with the law as it is, because with the law as it is, we can't make Nigeria work. And while Nigeria is working with the law as it is, then we move for improving it, which is definitely going to be so much easier when people know that they have nothing to lose.
I've got to have two more questions, and let's hope maybe one will come through. This is coming from Facebook. Interesting and hot discourse. That is what we do down here. And we also, maybe you've missed that part of fun that Eunice was dancing. You might be still doing more dancing before she goes.
They know me now. I'm the dancing president.
The present government that is on sit right now.
Yes.
What can they do now with the economy of the country? What would be, I know you've said you rather not work with the government, but what can the government do presently now? Because I've been looking at some of the the statistics by the statistician Yemi Kalejaye, and What is something that this present government can do straight away? Unemployment, and I want you to also talk on the security where Nigerians have been killed, whether straight bullet or not. But what is the thing that the government can push in now? And the third one would be, if you were meant to be the president of Nigeria today for 48 hours, what will you put in place? So the first one is, what should the government be doing right now? Now, I'm not talking about tomorrow, now, tonight, to make life meaningful for those back home.
They need to take care of the security issues first and foremost, because we're losing lives every day, and a lot of it from what we're discovering now is economic. It's not necessarily terrorism in the sense we understand it, but it's terrorism in the terms of a sense of illegal mining of gold and everybody trying to get their hands on the several illegal ways of making extremely huge amounts of money in Nigeria. They need to take care of this security problem. Like, it's so important, because even those who want to come home and work and bring in their money and invest, they won't do it when they believe that anything can happen and all of this will go to waste. So we need to take care of the government right now. Needs to open their eyes, open their ears, and do something about the security lapses in Nigeria. All the people who are serving right now should actually be removed and better people put in their place who would work for the benefits of the people and not for economic benefits to them and their people all alone. So that's the first thing that I think Buhari and his people need to do. Get rid of all the people that they have manning our security outfits in Nigeria, put in more competent people, more patriotic Nigerians who will work for the benefit of everybody, and let them make sure that security of lives and properties is finally guaranteed in Nigeria. That's one. To curb the problems of unemployment and poverty, they need to open up more to the private sector, remove a lot of these taxes and regulations that only affect the average businessman. A lot of these regulations they have are just they don't affect the rich man, because the rich man can just call up the minister or the particular director or whoever, and then all those issues will be lifted for him so he can get through. But then the average businessman is packing up because the people are coming, the tax officers are coming, asking them for some money. Like in Benue State, we heard that they charge them for using generators because they are going to protect the ozone layer. Like, you hear the craziest things in the names of regulation, but then what you do with all those things, you're asking them for monies that they are not earning, is that you are killing their businesses. I know a lot of businesses that have packed up in Nigeria because they cannot deal anymore with the stress of maintaining and paying all the monies that are supposed to be paid to government in order to keep their businesses running. So we need to go away from that. Like, open up the system, allow, deregulate a lot for the private sector so that people can get in there with little money and then start to make things work, sell their goods and make money so that they can invest more. And then, of course, the more money you find in the system, the easier it is to be taxing people. You remove all these corporation taxes and whatever other plenty impositions you do on people, then the private sector will open up and they will start doing more business. They'll be employing our people. Of course, when there's employment, there's more money, because he is making money as a manufacturer. The employee is making money from his salaries. He's spending it on the hairdresser, spending it on the saloon woman, spending it on his Uber or whatever he's using. Then the Uber guy is also paying. Then before you know it, you are making so much more money by deregulating all those things that you call regulations now, which are only hampering progress for us. So I believe these are some of the things we have to do now in order to reduce the poverty and improve the livelihood of the people. Take away, bring security, take away all the guys who don't know what they're doing, put in guys who know what they should do, and then they will secure the lives and properties of Nigerians. And then you open up the system, remove all these crazy taxes that you have, all these levies you put on small businesses, remove them so that the people can do more, earn more, and then employ more. And then the more they employ, the more even you get from the salaries and the taxes that all those income taxes that all those employees will be paying. If I were president for 48 hours, electricity is what I'll do within those 48 hours, because I do believe that with electricity, a lot of the problems we have in Nigeria would at least reduce. If they don't disappear, they will reduce. Electricity drives a lot: economy, health, education. There's hardly even the security itself. A lot of what we do, we need internet, we need phones. Without electricity, all those things can't really work. So electricity is the first thing I would do in the 48 hours I am president. I would make sure that we, at least in those 48 hours, change the rules of engagement so that the same companies who produce electricity can distribute them, and the some companies that generate can distribute, and can the same what the heck? The same companies that are generating can transmit and also distribute electricity, because the transmission of electricity is a strictly government thing, and because it's a strictly government thing, it is where the impasse always happens, so that the people who are generating cannot influence what happens on the transmission level, and then the people who are distributing also have no control about when they get energy and all. So we're going to, in those 48 hours, remove transmission of energy from government, make it a private business, and then let everybody who can invest in grid systems bring in the money and put in the grid systems, so that people can have several ways of sending their electricity to whoever is buying them, instead of everybody just sending to the one mono grid we have. Nigeria is way too big to have only one system of transmitting electricity. So that's the thing I'll do within the first 48 hours, so that within however long it takes, electricity is a thing of electricity problem is a thing of the past in Nigeria.
Wow. Time is not on our side, but it looks like we can have you the whole day. And one thing I normally do when I have guests, and I want you to get this focus because this will be on record. The next generation to generation will pick it up and listen to it. And I want you now to pass a message, to those that are listening to us now and those that will listen to this later on in the future. And what I want us to get out of it is as much of, not just looking at Nigeria as a whole, but, the individuals and, of each person. But get that message, and I'm sure someone will listen to it and say, wow, the girl will say,
My message is actually very simple. I always tell everybody who cares to listen that there's hope. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. And difficult as it is, especially for those of us who really have the best intention for Nigeria, this is the only time we can do something with that intention. Come into the space. It's tough. It's not going to be easy. Whether you're a man, a woman, young or old, if you come in here, you're going to be battered. You're going to be dealt with. You're going to suffer a lot of heartaches. Your best friends are going to mess you up. Your family is going to desert you. But at the end of the day, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you can shine that light and lead the way to the salvation of this our country, because it's only us who can save this country, and the only way we can do it is by getting involved, fully involved in this our political story, and then changing the narratives. So come in, guys. There's space for all of us, and the more good people come in, the better for us, the more we'll have to benefit from it. And for the young ones, there's hope. Definitely there's hope. You have me in there, and I'm taking so many more people like me in there. So there is hope.
wow, there is hope. And we will play my last track. And once again, this is Star Radio UK, your finest African Afro-Caribbean radio station in London. And we will continue. Next week will be another very important guest, but we'll be giving you details of that. But there's one other track that I love to listen to, each time here, and I'm sure Eunice will pick that in the video. He's passed away, but let's just continue to pray for his soul and the family that he left behind as well. And one thing is, like I say, we can talk about problems and problems, but we must also, find solution, to some of these problems. Yes, there is a lot of, pressure out there, but that is how life is. Eunice have gone through so much pressure, and I'm sure, if you don't go through pressure, there's no way you can make it out as well. So let us continue to believe, for the country called Nigeria. I've said it so many times. It's easy to complain but what is the solution that we are all bringing on the table? Those solutions is what we really need. And I'm sure, let's take a clip of this.
Yeah, man.
Yes, Africa.
After seeing all was one in Africa.
And it is Niger Voices every Wednesday from 1800 hours. Join us again next week, Wednesday. And we'll be coming to the end of this program, and I would like to say thank you very much. Eunice, maybe you got to extend your friends and family and every of your NIP and your network. This is the time to send a greetings to them.
Oh, greetings to everybody, daddy, mommy, hubby, children, my NIP guys, Ife, I miss you, Israel, I miss you guys, man. But I'll see you guys very soon, though. So,
okay,
yeah.
She's gonna see you very soon. It's Under Pressure. And we'll be back again same time next week, 1800 hours. Make sure you tune in. Tomorrow is the breakfast show at 10:30 with Mr. Achi. And you can get in touch with Eunice. Yeah, we're still live.
Oh my God, and I was yawning anyhow.
Yes, let us, say once more to Eunice and all the team that have been working tirelessly, behind the scenes. We'd like to say, yes, we're under pressure, but that is the only way we can fix some of the problems, back in Africa. Let us remember that if you're not part of trying to make something different, you will sit down behind the fence and continue to complain as well. Once again, we're going to be, the breakfast show is exactly 10 o'clock in the morning, and there's 7 new ways from around the world at, where you can listen to Starr Radio UK. Download the apps, also follow us on Twitter, Starr Radio UK, and if you've got any information you'd like to share with us, info@starradiouk.com. My name is Olayomi Koiki, and let's take a bit of this and we'll say thank you very much, every one of you that have logged in on all the social media handles and those that are listening to us on TuneIn and other YouTube. We'll be back again, same time next week.
Under pressure we will, under pressure Europeans, under pressure Africans, under pressure Nigerians, under pressure.
Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
Hi, my name is Koiki and you're listening to Starr Radio UK.
This is Starr Radio UK.
In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
all around the world.
Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
This is Starr Radio UK.
You can't always be in control of what happens on the road, but you can control the tires you ride on. Thanks to Champon tires, in testing condition, you are guaranteed of traction and grip, be it new or partly worn tire. Champon tires are the largest import and exporters of tires in the UK. Locate us all over the UK. For Wakefield, contact us on 01924 262 043. Selby, Rotherham, Hull, and Birmingham, contact us on 01709 380-615, or you can visit us at www.
Each day that goes by, I sit reminisce on those times. Back then it took a village to raise your child.